This is Jaclanory Junior. Hello, I'm Sean, and I've got two stories for you today. They're both about a cheeky tank engine who's blue and wears the number 1. His name is Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas was a tank engine who lived at a big station. He had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He was a fussy little engine, always pulling coaches about. He pulled them to the station ready for the big engines to take out on long journeys. And when trains came in and the people had got out, he would pull the empty coaches away so that the big engines could go and rest. He was a cheeky little engine too. He thought no engine worked as hard as he did, so he used to play tricks on them. He liked best of all to come quietly beside a big engine dozing on a siding and make him jump. Peep, 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 peep. Wake up, lazy bones, he would whistle. Why don't you work hard like me? Then he would laugh rudely and run away to find some more coaches. One day, Gordon was resting on a siding. He was very tired. The big express he always pulled had been late, and he had had to run as fast as he could to make up for lost time. He was just going to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky way. Wake up, lazy bones, he whistled. Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me. And he ran off laughing. Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could pay Thomas out. One morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up. His driver and fireman couldn't make him start. His fire went out, and there was not enough steam. It was nearly time for the express. The people were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started. Oh dear, he yawned. Come on, said the coaches. Hurry up. Thomas gave them a rude bump and started for the station. Don't stop dawdling, he grumbled. Where have you been? Asked the coaches crossly. Thomas fussed into the station where Gordon was waiting. Poop, poop, poop. Hurry up, you, said Gordon crossly. Peep, peep, peep. Hurry yourself, said cheeky Thomas. Yes, said Gordon. I will. And almost before the coaches had stopped moving, Gordon came out of his siding and was coupled to the train. Poop, poop, he whistled. Get in quickly, please. So the people got in quickly. The signal went down. The clock struck the hour. The guard waved his green flag, and Gordon was ready to start. Thomas usually pushed behind the big trains to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first, so that when the train was running nicely, he could stop and go back. This time he was late, and Gordon had started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. Poop, poop, said Gordon. Peep, 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 whistled Thomas. Come on, puffed Gordon to the coaches. Pull harder, puffed Thomas to Gordon. The heavy train slowly began to move out of the station. The train went faster and faster. Too fast for Thomas. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't. Peep, peep, stop, he whistled. Hurry, laughed Gordon in front. You can't get away, laughed the coaches. Poor Thomas was going faster than he had ever gone before. He was out of breath and his wheels hurt him, but he had to go on. I shall never be the same again, he thought sadly. My wheels will be quite worn out. At last they stopped at a station. Everyone laughed to see Thomas puffing and panting behind. They uncoupled him, put him on a turntable, and then he ran on the siding out of the way. Well, little Thomas, chuckled Gordon as he passed. Now you know what hard work means, don't you? Poor Thomas couldn't answer. He had no breath. He just puffed slowly away to rest and had a long, long drink. He went home very slowly and was careful afterwards never to be cheeky to Gordon again. From that day on, Thomas continued to work hard. But did he ever get to prove himself? Well, that's where our next story begins. Every day, the fat controller, Sir Topham Hatt, came to the station to catch his train, and he always said, "Hello," to Thomas. There were lots of trucks in the yard, different ones came in every day, and Thomas had to push and pull them into their right places. He worked hard. He knew now that he wasn't so clever as he had thought. Besides, Sir Topham Hatt had been kind to him, and he wanted to learn all about trucks so as to be a really useful engine. But on a siding by themselves were some trucks that Thomas was told he mustn't touch. There was a small coach, some flat trucks, and two strange things his driver called cranes. "That's the breakdown train," he said. "When there's an accident, the workmen get into the coach, and the engine takes them quickly to help the hurt people and to clear and mend the line. The cranes are for lifting heavy things like engines and coaches and trucks." One day, Thomas was in the yard when he heard an engine whistling, "Help! Help!" and a goods train came rushing through much too fast. The engine, a new one called James, was frightened. His brake blocks were on fire, and smoke and sparks streamed out on each side. "They're pushing me! They're pushing me!" he panted. "On, on, on, on!" laughed the trucks, and still whistling, "Help! Help!" Poor James disappeared under a bridge. "I'd like to teach those trucks a lesson," said Thomas the Tank Engine. Presently a bell rang in the signal box, and a man came running. "James is off the line! The breakdown train! Quickly!" he shouted. So Thomas was coupled on, the workmen jumped into their coach, and off they went. Thomas worked his hardest. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he puffed, and this time he wasn't pretending to be like Gordon. He really meant it. "Bother those trucks and their tricks," he thought. "I hope poor James isn't hurt." They found James and the trucks at a bend in the line. The brake van and the last few trucks were on the rails, but the front ones were piled in a heap. James was in a field with a cow looking at him, and his driver and fireman were feeling him all over to see if he was hurt. "Never mind, James," they said. "It wasn't your fault. It was those wooden brakes they gave you. We always said they were no good." Thomas pushed the breakdown train alongside. Then he pulled the unhurt trucks out of the way. "Oh dear, they groaned. "Serves you right, puffed Thomas crossly. When the men put other trucks on the line, he pulled them away too. He was hard at work, puffing backwards and forwards all the afternoon. "This'll teach you a lesson, he told the trucks, and they answered, "Yes, it will, in a sad, groany, creaky sort of voice. They left the broken trucks and mended the line. Then with two cranes they put James back on the rails. He tried to move, but he couldn't, so Thomas helped him back to the shed. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting anxiously for them. "Well, Thomas," he said kindly, "I've heard all about it, and I'm very pleased with you. You are a really useful engine. James shall have some proper brakes and a new coat of paint, and you shall have a branch line all to yourself." "Oh, sir," said Thomas happily. Now Thomas is as happy as can be. He has a branch line all to himself and puffs proudly backwards and forwards with two coaches all day. He is never lonely, because there is always some engine to talk to at the junction. Edward and Henry stop quite often and tell him the news. Gordon is always in a hurry and does not stop, but he never forgets to say poop poop to little Thomas, and Thomas always whistles peep peep in return. And even today, in the age of diesel-powered locomotives and electric engines, the island of Sodor is still the United Kingdom's #1 place for steam engines. And ever since his brave rescue, Thomas has had lots more adventures to tell. But I'm afraid that's all I've got time for today, so I'll see you soon.